You're listening to a Soul One podcast. Okay, and I believe, Nicole, we are recording.
Stunning, beautiful. We're doing such a good job. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah, our third-party workaround. But we are recording. God willing, this audio will sound good because I'll be devastated if we record for 45 minutes and it doesn't work. But anyways, the 15-second test we did was fine.
Yeah, like from my end, it sounded good.
It's
okay.
I
think we could be audio engineers by like next week. Probably.
Yeah, definitely new career for us. For new people / returning people, this is You Had Me at Skip It, and friend of the show, friend of Taylor, is my co-host today, Nicole. Hello, Nicole.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. It is such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. You were supposed to be on anyways. Unfortunately, Mike is not able to make it on tonight, but we are going to forge ahead and try our best, hence the third-party workaround recording. So our audio might not sound as pristine as it normally does, but we're going to make it work. I've written out the name of the show, Nicole, so I won't forget this time. You Had Me at Skip It. I said it correct the first time, I think, and I have it in a Google Doc to remind me, because the one and only time I recorded all by myself, no mic, absolutely nothing, I said the name of the old show, and Mike is not gonna let me live it down. Can I also say, I'll never admit this to Mike to his face. He'll listen back when he's editing, I assume, unless he gets someone else to edit this. I think I need him, Nicole. It's very hard to do this without him.
That's very vulnerable of you.
Yeah.
And like, honestly,
don't tell him.
I'm a little sad we have no one to pick on. Because
right?
Usually we just pick on him, and I can't pick on you because we have our opinions just have to line up about most things.
I know. Anyways, we'll just we'll do our best, and like I said, hopefully the recording keeps recording, and then hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to get the recording off my phone.
Oh, I can help you with that. You're gonna be fine.
I'm just worried because it's gonna be such a big file. But anyways, it will work.
You'll be all right.
Even if I have to like upload it to my Google Drive and then send the link to Mike, it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been so excited to record this episode, Nicole, because it's just an amazing pairing, and I'm calling this Nicole's LA After Dark is the name of this segment, this episode.
Yeah.
And we'll tell the listeners what we're reviewing. So I picked Jack's Back, kind of a tricky title to
I'd say that 10 times
yeah,
fast.
Jack's Back. And you chose which movie? I
chose Angel.
Yeah.
It had another name when it came out, but I'm pretty sure it's just Angel. Everybody knows it by.
It's also one of those movies that sometimes it's titled as or not titled, but sometimes the release date comes up as 1983, and sometimes it comes up as 1984. Did you find that? So that might...
I did not find that, but like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I just feel like there's so many movies from the 80s that everybody's like, who knows? We'll just throw it out there.
Yeah, who cares?
See what happens.
Who cares? We chose... My movie, Jack's Black, came out in 1988. A little background as to why we're doing LA After Dark. Really, quite frankly, I wanted an excuse to watch a James Spader movie. And I said, Nicole, come on the show so I can talk about James Spader. And you said, okay. So that's true friendship.
I started the movie. I started Jack's back and I was like, I don't think I know who James Spader is.
Like, as an actor, or just like, what do you mean?
Like, because you know how some people will just say actors' names?
Sure.
Like, there's a guy named Theo something. Theo something.
Yeah. The guy from the Monkey Paw movie?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but like,
sure,
everybody talks about him. So, but I also think that, wasn't James Spader in Secretary? Because Missy was like, you know who James Spader is.
Yes.
Don't be silly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Iconic. He also, we don't, even though Mike thinks I body shame, we don't body shame on this show, but he has aged very differently, we shall say. Like, if you know him from Boston Legal, or even The Office, or The Blacklist, I think is the name of the show that I used to watch, he looks very different than he did in the 80s.
Hang on. He's on The Office?
He's something California. Like, he's the bad boss at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard. I haven't seen it, but I have heard.
Right.
My legal roommate is obsessed with that show, and she knows
Boston Legal?
everything about it.
Or The Office?
The Office.
Right.
Legal. Also be Boston Legal.
Because you said legal roommate, but now I understand. Why
you have one too.
Yes.
You technically have two, actually.
Yes. My legislated roommates. Yeah, so anyways, they literally, the first episode of Buffy, one of the questions Cordelia asks Buffy to know if she's popular or not, when she's like rapid firing, like what's in and what's out, and James Spader is one of them. She goes, James Spader?
Then does she go, he needs to call me?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's James Spader and not Christian Slater. I'm pretty sure it's James Spader. But, like, what was he in 1997? Maybe Secretary. Or 90. I think that might have been 99. But, like, what classic Josh Whedon to, like, to not be able to really write. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. But I'm thinking, like, what a weird cultural touchstone. Because the first season of Buffy, I'm pretty sure it aired in 97. And what was James Spader in? That seems like a weird part of his career. I can understand if it was set in the first season was 1988. Because he was in... Anyways.
He was in a bunch of things in the 80s. Yes. I think that's why, obviously. Like, but his most famous movie, I think, before Buffy was probably Sex, Lies, and Videotapes.
But 15-year-olds shouldn't be watching that.
Well, I guess it depends on who your parents are.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I watched Sex, Lies, and Videotapes at 15. But this isn't therapy, Nicole. Let's get back to...
Right, sorry.
So anyways, all that to say, I love James Spader. I really don't get a lot of opportunities to talk about him on the show. That longtime listeners may not know that about me. James Spader is really top, one of my favorite actors. I think he's phenomenal. So I've been dying to just talk about James Spader. And I thought, well, Nicole's always down for weird and wacky. And a lot of the movies he was in the 80s were kind of like weird.
Yeah.
Kind of like darker. So when I said, let's do a weird LA, you immediately picked Angel.
Yeah, there's really so much to choose from, but I felt like, so backstory on Angel. Remember when Maxine came out last year?
Yes. I haven't seen it yet, but yes.
So, like, it's up to you if you think it's good when you see it, but, like, it doesn't matter because the vibe of that movie is like, you don't watch it for the content, you watch it for the vibe.
Got it.
And so I was on this Maxine kick and I was like, what else can I watch that like gives me the same feeling and vibe as that? And everybody kept saying, everybody meaning everybody on the internet, not people I know.
I'm like, what, Missy?
Yeah, she had no idea what this was. No, I don't even think. Yeah, she saw it. She didn't like Maxine as much. But anyway, the point is, everybody was like, if you, like, Angel walked so that Maxine could run. And then I saw it and I was like, I get it. So if any of you loved Maxine, not the content, the vibes, you just probably should just watch Angel.
That's a very good segue into our review. So I would say that it was on my periphery in the sense that I'm pretty sure the Facebook algorithm, every once in a while, I talked about this with Mike a couple of weeks ago. I don't know when the episode's airing that we talked about this, but essentially Facebook, the algorithm will like spit out like a movie poster and like an AI review of the movie. And I'm pretty sure Angel was one of these like AI reviews that I saw on my Facebook homepage. And so like I vaguely knew about this movie, but like it's not a cultural touchstone for me, I shall say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like many people know about it. It doesn't seem like many people know about either of these movies. Like they're niche.
But apparently, I was Googling Angel. It has a huge cult following, and I'm pretty sure it has 2 direct-to-video sequels. Did you know this?
I did know about the sequels. I won't be watching them because it's just like I love. See, my favorite character is Kit, and if Kit's not, spoilers.
I mean, the movie's from 1984. This is okay, but this is a good part. This is a good reminder to our listeners. When we're doing sort of these like look back episodes, and if the movie is quite old, I think it's safe to say there will be spoilers. Do you agree, Nicole? This is a spoiler friendly episode.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to be spoiled, you can turn it off right now.
Yeah, exactly. Pause and then watch Angel and Jack's Black, which we'll get into, Nicole. Yeah. Perfect pairing. This was an accidental perfect pairing. Because Yeah. So, pause, go watch the movies, then come back. So, okay. Go on. Your favorite character, R.I.P.
Oh, my favorite character, R.I.P. Honestly, like, there's so many, like, characters to love, but Kit is my favorite. Kit was played by Rory Calhoun, who, oddly enough, dropped dead while he was performing, like in real life. How he died was he was performing like a stand-up show, and everybody thought that when he dropped dead on stage that it was a bit, and then people were like, oh no, and he actually died.
What, like of a heart attack?
Yeah.
What a way to go. Honestly, right? going how you lived, like what's the saying? She went, like, she died doing what she loved. She
lived and loved by the nugget, or whatever.
So, I'm good for him for, passing away. But what, could you imagine if you were there at the stand-up show and thinking it was a bit? How long do you think they were like, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes? Like, at what point do you pull the trigger and you're like, that person's not getting up?
I have no idea. I think it was at least... You know what? I might be making this up. I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say it might be at least 3 minutes, but I think I just pulled that out of my hat. So I don't know. It's jarring.
You've seen a lot of experimental theater. So like that's not, you would be like, yeah, that's at home here. That's normal. But I think, 3 minutes. I think even at like 1 minute, the 1 minute mark, you're like, but it's the bystander effect. You don't want to stand up and be the one to say, are they having a medical emergency?
Yeah, because then people are like, oh, there was this person who stood up at my performance and like interrupted the performance.
And ruined it.
And you don't want to be that guy.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Angel? Just a little, like a quick plot synopsis so people know what they're getting into.
Marvelous. So I just want to say that so this came out in 1984, so we're going to use some outdated language, just like for right now, so that I can read the IMDb plot.
Right.
So, Molly Angel Stewart is an honor student by day and a Hollywood sex worker, that was another word, by night, and with a killer on the loose. So, basically... exactly what it sounds like.
Literally.
Literally, Angel, or Molly, lives this double life. And she goes to school. She lives in LA. She goes to school, and she has her little ragtag team of friends who kind of hang out with her on Hollywood Boulevard, basically. And
kind of look out for her.
Yeah, and it's like so endearing. I was like, oh, this feels like such a queer like metaphor for your chosen family, because spoiler alert, Angel has no family. Her dad left, or her mom left, and her dad died or something. Something
he left
happened.
the family.
Right.
But she thinks he's going to come back.
Right. Yeah. So, but she has Solly, she has Kit, she has May, she has everybody from her little group. And yeah, and then a murderer starts killing sex workers on the strip, and we are trying to track him down. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's not heavy on the plot. But you know what? I think you don't need to have... There's something to be said about having a simple, straightforward story. Like,
yeah.
I didn't think it was lacking in the plot, even though it is, like, plot light.
It's plot... I feel like it's more about what they do with the characters and, like, their little quirks. And also they made the killer super disgusting. And I just want to say hats off, because
I don't remember him being super disgusting.
I don't know why him, like, drinking an egg yolk from an egg. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, and then, like, touching the picture of his mom.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't know what this says about me, but, like, bathing in that little bucket for some reason. It was just very off-putting. So everybody needs to watch this movie to figure out what we're talking about.
That was your red flag. You're like,
I mean, there's so much, but
can't.
Yeah, and
I can't get over it.
I also like love that we don't know anything about him.
Yeah,
we don't need to get into the nitty gritty. You just have hints dropped, like. In Maxine, not to compare, but, like, in Maxine, you learn, like, so much more about the killer, and actually I feel like that was why that movie wasn't it. And this movie is, like, a better slasher.
I don't think you always need all of the psychology behind, it is interesting, I guess I don't know if interesting is the right word, but I'll say interesting for a lack of another word. It is interesting to look into the psychology of a killer, but also there's something to be said about that guy's just a psycho. And, like, that's scary. Yeah. He's just... You know what this movie reminded me of? And I've watched I don't want to say quite a few, but, like, this movie, Jack's Back, I watched one called Fade to Black. They... All 80s. They feel so much like... Manhunter, Michael Mann's Manhunter from the 80s. These very, like, they're almost like procedurals. Like, you see the murder, but the movie is essentially, like, catching the killer, right?
Yep.
I that is a very good genre of movie. And I feel like we don't really have that very much anymore.
No, I think that's interesting. You're right. I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen something that's just pretty straightforward like that. And I just think it's, part of it probably is because during this time when people were making movies, I mean, this was like peak, we're breaking down the studio system. Things were not, as they were in the 40s, 50s, 60s, where you have your stars signed with studios and you have like a 8-picture contract. Like these movies were made, like, there were just way more movies made for way less money, and they just made so many of them.
Yeah, and some of them were great, and some of them were duds, and some of them kind of just fall in the middle. And there's something to be said about the movie that falls in the middle.
Yeah.
Because now...
Perfect example.
Sorry, what's the perfect example? These movies?
I feel like Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's a movie that you can throw on. I don't know if I will necessarily revisit Angel, but it was an enjoyable ride. However long it was, like an hour, 40 minutes. Also, this is like chef's kiss. People really knew how to make and edit movies in the 80s, where it's like, oh, it's an hour and a half, an hour 40. We never push to 2 hours. Everyone knows this is my long hanging gripe about movies being too long. But this in the middle movie, it's not a blockbuster. It's a little bit more than an indie. It's serviceable. If you turn it on for an hour and a half, an hour 40, it's pretty captivating. It's well acted, well written, tightly edited. We really don't have that segment of the market anymore. And it's either, and you know, the studios are blowing millions upon millions, like money that's disgusting on these movies. And they're schlop. They're horrible. I'd much rather take a random obscure movie from the 80s, throw that on for an hour and a half, than watch whatever's going on in the movie theaters right now.
Yeah, it is kind of... It's such a... Yeah, it is a shame. It's a shame because, yeah, you have... I was listening to, like, a behind-the-scenes of Interview with a Vampire the other day, listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about...
The TV show or the movie?
The movie.
Got it, from the 90s, 94.
Yeah, exactly. And they kept being like, they don't make movies like this anymore, and, like, this was, like, a special circumstance where they had all of this budget to make things so beautiful, and everything was so beautiful. And even in these two movies, like, everything is so specific. I mean, and now everything doesn't feel that way. I feel like I sound like an old curmudgeon, but...
Hey, that's literally me for the past 7 years on this show, and it's only progressively gotten worse. Here's a question for you, Nicole. Are movies getting worse, or are we just getting older? Both.
I think that, like, mainstream movies are getting worse, but I don't think movies are getting worse.
Right.
I just think that we because of, like, maybe this is something to do with our attention span and, like, just the amount of movies. There's so much less being made, period, that what becomes so popular and in your face, like, is kind of the least best overall. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you feel like movies are getting worse?
I think yes, because obviously with having George and, like, the season of life I'm in right now, I don't go to the theaters a lot, right? Yeah. But I still think there's a ton of content that's available. Like, with my streaming platforms, I could probably watch a new movie every week if I wanted to. And so, like, I do feel like there's a lot of content and, like, a lot of, like, direct-to-streaming movies. And very rarely am I blown away by either the direct-to-streaming content or the content that's, like, in theaters that trickles down to streaming. So my opinion is that movies are getting worse. But I think, like, the 1 in a million movies, either I'm not, like, they're not filtering onto platforms that are accessible to me, or they're, like, buried. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting the really good movies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I mean, and quite frankly, like, I'm just so sick of these Marvel DC things. I just feel like that money can be spent better elsewhere. But I guess, like, people make that money and then go and put it into other things that are their passion projects, you know?
I just had this conversation with my boss. I was griping about Scarlett Johansson in that Jurassic World movie, which I didn't see, but, like, Mike reviewed. And he said it wasn't a very good movie. Spoiler alert. And I'm like, Scarlett Johansson, like, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure she is currently the highest paid actress in Hollywood right now. I think I read that headline recently. And I'm like, this woman does not need more money. And I was griping to my boss about it, and he's like, oh, well, you know, like, they take that paycheck and then, like, they go make, like, a passion project or whatever. And I'm like, yes, I know that argument. Like, that can be said about a lot of actors who, like, Robert Pattinson, you know, does the blockbusters, who he can go make indie comedies or indie thrillers, whatever. But, like, in the case of, like, Scarlett Johansson, when you're, like, you're top, you can take the pay cut. Like, you don't need like, she's so far along in her career now, she doesn't need to take the multi-million-dollar movie. Like, she's still a millionaire. You know what I mean? This is what I don't understand. Just pass on this one. Anyways.
Well, Taylor, have you ever thought that maybe they actually like the movie?
The horrible stuff they're making? But...
Yeah. I mean...
Mark said that it was like the Jurassic Park movie. Like, this is my question though. I haven't seen the movie, so, you know, forgive me. Maybe it's an amazing movie. I'm only going off of what Mike has told me, right? But it sounds like a case of, like, who read the script and, like, thinks, like, yes, that's the movie I need to be in.
Yeah.
I feel like we've really lost, like, James Spader, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, through the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s was, like, a working actor. So, like, a script would come to him and he'd be like, okay, this is going to pay my rent for the next whatever. But, like, so I don't think he could have been, like, too choosy in the 80s and 90s. But at the same time, like, Jack's Back was to me, was a very enjoyable movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, we should talk about it, actually, because I feel like we've gone on a tangent.
Yeah.
Which is honestly fair.
So Jack's Back, I keep wanting to say Jack Black. Jack's Back. Not a great title, but not the worst title that we've had on You Had to Get Scared. So this is one of those movies where I don't want to give a ton of spoilers, Nicole.
No.
Because... And Mike says this a lot. I'm less a stickler for this, but in this case, I agree with Mike. This is one of those movies that, like, the less you know, the better going into it.
Yeah,
because of the twists, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. Like, I don't generally... In fact, I was so close to looking up the plot. Because, you know, when you just need to mentally prepare yourself for the way you're about to spend the next couple hours.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to see. But then I was like, you know, it can't be bad. I mean, like, it really can't be bad. Firstly, Taylor would not give me a bad movie to watch. And secondly, just, like, read the synopsis. You know, it's going to be good. And I was so happy that I did not look anything up. Because I feel like I was texting you and I was like, like, the whole time.
Yeah. Shock. So this is another one where I'm pretty sure the algorithm showed me the movie poster and, like, an AI plot summary. And I was like, interesting. And I was torn between this one and another James Spader movie where also set in LA. And he ends up dating a woman, but she turns out to be not the woman he thinks she is. And I forget the name of that one. But it was kind of... And literally, I just went, let's go with Jack's Black. Jack's Back. It sounds a little bit more thriller. Like, it seems a little bit more, scary. Not scary, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And so that's why I ended up picking this one. And very, very basic premise is that, because you find this out in, I think, like, the first 3 minutes of the movie. It might even be, like, the opening audio. It's like a news report. But
I think so.
It's 100 years to the day of the Jack the Ripper murders. And now a copycat is operating in LA, recreating the murders, like, by the textbook. You know what I mean? Like, textbook, copycat. And so James Spader is a young doctor. He's a medical student working in, like, an inner city health clinic, and it's set in LA, and we have these murderers. Interestingly, if anyone knows anything about Jack the Ripper, how can you not? He also targeted prostitutes. that wasn't on purpose, Nicole, that we we chose two movies like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not think about.
No, that little LA sex worker murders. That's, yeah, a little sad that both these movies are about that. But anyways, and then it unfolds much like Angel as sort of a procedural, like trying to figure out who the murderer is. And a little bit, very similar to Angel in that we see the murderer, but there's a bit of a twist, right?
Yeah, we see things happening that would lead us to a conclusion. But then, yes, this definitely has more twists than Angel, sure. But yes, you see what they see, pretty much. You're the POV of the victim.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Angel is pretty much, like, I would say almost like a cookie cutter. You know who the murderer is, and now we're just waiting for him to get caught. Whereas this felt like a thriller, and the stakes were pretty high. Because you're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah. It's so funny, though, that you say inner city clinic, because...
Is that where you live?
No. Okay, so, like, that's set in Echo Park.
Right.
Which is now, like, so it's, like, the Brooklyn, one of the Brooklyns of LA. It's in the East End, and houses are so expensive. Rent is so expensive. Or, like, pretty expensive. However, it is, like, relative to other neighborhoods in Los Angeles, it is, like, pretty close to Skid Row. And I think there's, like, a little sequence at the beginning where we see encampments. And it's so funny because it's just, I mean, if anybody's ever been to Los Angeles, there is, especially since post-COVID, not that we're post-COVID, but that's a whole other topic. You know, there's a lot of homeless folks. I mean, like, the people are getting just shoved out. Everybody is approximately one paycheck away from literally being homeless in the city. So it's wild that, like, that is still very much the situation in Los Angeles. Yeah, except for Echo Park being nicer now, but yeah.
Not much has changed. In the movie, and this might be, I don't know enough about the historical reality of LA, but in the movie, it's very much portrayed as this is like a rougher neighborhood. And the encampments are like refugees.
Yeah, I mean, Skid Row in LA is
mental illness and drug addiction is what Skid Row is kind of known for, is it not? Like, more, it's not immigrants.
No, it's, well, you know, I've never actually looked at the demographics, but, like, it's a pretty noticeable, at the very least, like, as just somebody who has driven through Skid Row, it's a lot of encampments, like a lot of that same kind of visual that you see at the beginning of
shanty towns.
Basically, yeah, and it's like actually bananas given the amount of wealth in this city, where you can have something like that, just, you know, in the same county basically, and then you can have somebody like, you know, the Kardashians who are using their water allotment. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I felt like that was very interesting.
It's very Lynchian, you know, how, like, that dark underbelly, although he's more interested in, like, middle America suburbs, but the LA is such a juxtaposition of, you know, the richest of the rich, like Hollywood, stars, glitz and glamour, and then this underbelly, which is very real. Like, even though these are, like, fictionalized accounts of serial murderers, I think that this socioeconomic stuff that's happening in the 80s, like you said, Nicole, is very much happening now. And it's interesting to see, you know, 30, 40 years later, we're still dealing with the same stuff. But I will say that of the two movies, I agree with you, Nicole. Angel, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but the feeling you had with Maxine, where it's like style over content. With Angel, I do think that there was content, but it definitely is like, it's campy, you know, it's tongue-in-cheek. There's a lot of humor. I found the movie quite humorous.
Totally.
You know, witty dialogue, whatever. And then for me, Jack's back, it was like, no, this is like a straight thriller. I don't think, like, I was like kind of stressed watching it.
Totally. Yeah, that one, Jack's Back does not blend genres in the same way, I don't think, that Angel does. I don't even know if, well, surely Angel meant to blend genres. Like, there's
It's a black comedy.
Yeah, like, and like Solly and Kit yelling at each other, playing cards. Like, it's just, like, in fact, like, I want to see more of all of those people. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I also, it makes me wonder, this small little movie, it felt small, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory sense, just like, it's a smaller production, you know what I mean? Like, it's, how would you describe this? Like, it's realism. Like, there isn't fantastic costumes or like fantastic set pieces. It's like LA, people wearing normal clothes. And I've never heard of this movie, and then for it to get 2 direct-to-video sequels. Like, was this movie, do you know if this movie was huge in the 80s, or just kind of had this cult following from the beginning?
Yeah, I don't think it did have a cult following from the beginning. Like, the budget was about $1.3 million. I mean, this is, of course, according to IMDb box office, and then the gross for like worldwide was oh wait, maybe I just don't know how to read numbers. Yep, that sounds about right. 17 million, so maybe it did do really well.
Or at the very least, it did really well for the budget, right? And they're like, well, there's a market for this, so let's just keep turning them out.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, between you and I, we're like pretty up on
pop culture.
Well, like, and specifically those like niche cult classics. Like, I feel like we're very much we've always kind of been into that, and I never heard of this, which doesn't really have, you know, it doesn't say anything in particular, but it just seems like, oh, like, this is very much my cup of tea. I can't believe I have had even heard of it. But yeah, it seems like it did do well at the box office, not its opening weekend, but it became a sleeper hit. So there you go.
Another thing I thought about while I was watching this movie is, even though it's a movie about a sex worker, an underage sex worker, I thought, I should know, she's like 15 in this movie. They don't, and I guess, like, why I found this surprising is because, like, the 80s were known for gratuitous sex, and like there is a shot in the locker room where, like, you see naked flesh for no reason other than they're in a locker room. There's something with the 80s where they're like, well, we gotta slot in a locker room scene. It doesn't matter. But I guess you could say that I was pleasantly surprised that there weren't any sex scenes. Like, I feel like if they made this movie today, it wouldn't be a comedy, and they would include sex scenes.
100%. 100%. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. She's never shown having sex, which I think, like, I don't know if that was because they're like, well, she's 15, so, like, morally we can't show that. Or, you know what like, it's just interesting to me because today they wouldn't take that moral stance. They'd be like, whatever. The actress is of age, so let's just show it.
Yeah, and I think she was like 21 or 22 when she shot this, which is like also peak 80s. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna
There in no way is that girl 15, but
no.
slap some pigtails on her.
Literally, pigtails and a bow. Let's go. The universal symbol for innocence.
Yep. So that I was pleasantly surprised by that, and also I don't think they show any sex scenes in Jack's back. And this isn't me saying, oh, they should have. I just think it's surprising to me because by modern standards, writers would have found a way to slot that in, especially with the subject matter being what it is.
Totally. And it's funny that you say that too, because, okay, so the director of Jack's Back also directed, you're never going to believe this, Roadhouse.
Love it.
So I feel like he is not interested in anything but action. And
yeah, good for him.
I haven't seen really anything else that he's done, but yeah, I totally agree. There's not that same like gratuitous scandal kind of vibe.
Or like let's show like the gnarliest murder we can show in the context of a sex crime, which is like you can watch that on TV now. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. They had it on this isn't gnarly sex crimes, but do you remember when they had 13 Reasons Why on Netflix?
I did not watch that show, but yes, there was a controversy about the underage suicide.
Yeah, and I feel like you wouldn't... There's even like post that release, I feel like there's kind of been more of that type of content, not necessarily about suicide, but like more sensational, graphic, gory. Right. I mean, like, look at The Terrifier. You know, like that whole film series is just gore after gore after, and I think people kind of honestly want it now.
I know, and again, this is gonna make me sound so old, Nicole, but I prefer movies like Angel and Jack's Back. Like, I don't need to see the sex crime or the murder. Like, it's enough to see it alluded to, or like maybe the aftermath. Like, I'm trying to think, like, if you like actively see the crime in these two movies, it's like not enough to leave an impression, which in my opinion is good. Like, I'm here for the solving the murder, not to watch the crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that it's particularly... I mean, it is... I know Angel is rated... I mean, they're both rated R, but also, like, that's R in the 80s. Yeah. R 2025. Like, we would have watched these movies when we were 12, I think.
Probably. It would have been on cable. And nothing would have been black. Absolutely. Nothing would have been cut out.
Yeah. And we would have loved it.
Oh, yeah. 100%. But I guess, I've been thinking a lot about that, about, you know... Maybe because I'm getting older and this has been a familiar refrain on the show, like watching movies. And like, I don't need to see the ultra violence or the ultra sex. Like, I don't. And I think these two movies are good case in point, where even though the subject matter is maybe sensational or a little bit shocking, the plot is perfectly fine without including those things. Like, I don't think there's anything lacking from these movies.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, you know, now that we're kind of talking about that, I wonder if the issue is, not that this is an issue, or maybe it is. The issue is, or like the case in point is, did we also see movies with a lot of very gratuitous violence in previous decades, but just nobody really... like, they weren't as accessible? I mean, do you think that that's part of the problem? Because, you know, like, we had Sallow, which was a big deal. Remember Sallow?
Yeah, I watched that in university. That movie is pretty graphic. Don't recommend that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But there's, like, a lot of that kind of content that, like, was definitely more kind of, you know, the quote-unquote underbelly of film goers. But do you think that we have more graphic content now? Or do you think we have a similar amount, but it's just more easily accessible?
That's an interesting question. So I think movies like Sallow and Caligula, even though they were released in mainstream theaters, they were like art house movies. Like, I don't think the mainstream were watching those movies. So my guess, and, you know, this would be I haven't done a study on this. I haven't looked at the data. My guess is that there was always movies with pretty, like, sensational violence and sex, but there weren't as many and they weren't mainstream. I think what's different now is that you can literally go to a mainstream movie and just expect that there'll be lots of violence and lots of sex. Like, I remember maybe this was a year or two ago, I reviewed The League of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And I found that movie enjoyable. Like, I enjoyed watching it. But I said to Mike, I'm like, there was so much violence in this movie that, like, I'm scared for George to watch movies when he's 14. And, like, that's just, like, normal. That, like, people are just being, like, hundreds of people are just being mowed down by a machine gun for literally, like, even though they're the bad guys, don't get me wrong, like, they were mowing down Nazis. But, like, to show that level of, like, death and mayhem in, like, a mainstream movie with, like, no thought, and it's, like, an action movie, I don't think that was normal. But maybe I'm, like, rose-colored glasses, like what you're saying. Like, maybe those movies always existed, and, like, our parents were watching those movies, and we just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But my guess is that, like, it wasn't mainstream. Like, there were still standards, right? And, like, ratings, like, for a movie to get a rated R, they took their ratings kind of seriously, and there's like parent advisory councils that still mattered in the Senate hearings and stuff. But all that to say, I'm old now, Nicole, and I'd rather watch a movie from the 80s where I know. And actually, I'm gonna, like, maybe I'll wheel it back a little bit to your question. I don't know, I don't think that it was happening as wide scale, but again, my boss is coming on the show for Halloween, and we're looking at a Gallo movie, Deep Red, like that Italian horror, and, like, those are pretty sensational, a lot of blood. It definitely feels hokey compared to today because of just, like, budget and, like, special effects, but those had, like, a lot of blood and a lot of gore. But I don't think that's, like, a mainstream genre. Like, how many people do you know who are watching Italian horror from the 70s? Even in the 70s?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and again, like, I just feel like it was just harder to get in the 70s. But yeah, I mean, even now, I'm not sure about now. Honestly, film bro culture is getting out of hand. Like, I was at a film festival for this, there's this great, so there's all kinds of film festivals in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles has a lot of theaters that, like, will show older movies. Like, this is very normal here.
Sure.
They'll show older movies and have, you know, people who worked on the movies do a Q&A. And just, like, the American Cinematheque here has a festival every year called Bleak Week, where it's exactly the way it sounds. It's just, like, a bunch of bleak movies.
Father Quirk's favorite genre.
Yeah. So if he's ever in LA,
you'll take him out. You'll take him to Bleak Week.
Yeah, exactly. And just, like, the chit chat that I was hearing, I was like, man, I wonder if it was always like this, because this is, like, becoming unbearable to listen to these film bros, like, mispronounce French words and, like, talk about these directors like they are God.
No, I think that always existed.
Oh. Well, we should make it less acceptable.
Because, like, again, this isn't therapy session, but if you recall my first boyfriend, and that was what, not a little less than 20 years ago, he was talking the talk like that back then. So I can only imagine that there's always been those people.
Yeah. Maybe they're just concentrated here, too.
Did I say my first boyfriend's name just now?
Yeah.
We'll have to have Mike edit that back. Edit that out.
I forgot we're just not talking on the phone.
I know, just chatting. We'll see if he can edit that out around the 48-minute mark. Redact that, please.
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't give any identifying markers.
No.
But that could have been anyone. That could have been
Yeah.
anyone.
You were using a pseudonym. You were not using his real name.
Oh, jeez. Anyways, I would say that, yeah, but the question about violence in movies, I don't know, Nicole. I think we're just, and I've said this so many times, people are probably going to turn off the show now. I just don't need it. And it's not as titillating. I don't know, like, I don't think I was ever into, like, ultra violence, but even, like, bleak, like, the bleak human condition. And I'm like, do we need that many movies exploring the bleak human condition? Let's have some.
Yes.
We do?
Yes. Yeah. I think we do. Okay. I like it, though, but that's also, like, I'm very mentally ill, so maybe that's...
Well,
I just feel seen.
On that cheery note, should we give our ratings for Angel and Jack? Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say about the two movies? Other than, I would say, like, if you're looking for a double feature, these movies complement each other so well. And
100%.
I think maybe start with Jack's back, because Angel is lighter, if you can believe that a child sex worker movie can be lighter. But yeah, the pairing worked really well. I think that they represent a level of filmmaking, like you said, Nicole. Just so many movies were being made, and like they were just like middle of the road. They were fine. They were serviceable. You could go to a movie theater and like pick a random movie, and you were probably going to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
these were these movies. For me, they're see-its. I found them really enjoyable. And as you know, enjoyable is kind of a tricky word considering the subject matter for these movies. But yeah, I thought they were well crafted, funny. Well, the first one was funny, Angel. Like I said, Jack's back, not funny. Yeah, I liked them. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yep, I totally agree. I totally agree with your rating. I would say see it if you live in a place that like screens older movies. These would be ones that I want to see in a theater with a group.
Yeah.
Like I can just feel like the cheering, specifically with Angel. Like I think I would want to see Angel with a group for sure. Mm-hmm. But amazing. 10 out of 10. Great choice, Taylor.
Great choice, Nicole.
We did so good.
We did. Pat on the back to us. We did a great job. We didn't need Mike at all this episode, did we?
No.
Just for editing.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. We do miss you.
We do. All right. Well, that was great. I looked forward to this week. This was fabulous as always. Thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Had Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.